This is WTYW 7 News Channel. The best place to get your news in the world anytime, anywhere. Your world, your news. Coming up on WTYW 7 News Channel is your top stories. After that at WTYW 7 News with Joe Kong at 6 a.m.
This is CNN Breaking News.
And good morning. We are following breaking news for you on This American Morning, Wednesday, February 3rd. Glad you're with us. I'm Kiran Chetri.
Good morning to you. I'm John Roberts. Thanks for joining us. Here's the breaking news out of Pakistan this morning. 3 American soldiers were killed in a roadside bombing in northwestern Pakistan. But what were U.S. troops doing on Pakistani soil? And were they being targeted? The very latest live from Islamabad and the Pentagon coming up.
Well, Al-Qaeda is certain to try to attack America within the next 6 months. That prediction comes from the top intelligence agencies in the nation, but that's not certain is what type of attack we can expect. In a moment, Homeland Security correspondent Gene Meserve is going to talk to us about one possible target that we may not be ready to defend.
Another round of bonuses for AIG's troubled financial products division. This time, the bailed-out insurance giant reportedly doling out $100 million to employees who voluntarily agreed to reduce their bonuses. Christine Romans is minding your business with more on AIG in just 15 minutes. We begin this morning, though, with breaking news. A deadly day for American forces in Pakistan. 3 U.S. soldiers were killed when a roadside bomb went off near the Afghan border. American officials calling the attack a vicious terrorist bombing. Our Reza Sayah is live in Islamabad for us this morning. Barbara Starr is at the Pentagon. Let's start with Reza in Islamabad. These American troops were in Pakistan to train soldiers, take on Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Do we know if they specifically, Reza, were being targeted?
Well, John, make no mistake, the Pakistani Taliban here would like nothing more than to kill American soldiers, but it's too early to tell if these particular American soldiers were being targeted today. Spoke to a Pakistani military official, and he told CNN they are investigating. If indeed these soldiers were being targeted, this certainly shows a remarkable degree of coordination on the part of the militants. Let's go ahead and tell you what we know about this attack. According to the Pakistani Army, this was a convoy of several vehicles that was hit by a powerful roadside bomb, and officials and witnesses telling CNN that the bomb went off. It exploded right as the vehicle with the Americans passed by. So that piece of information in itself is at least some evidence that these Americans were targeted. 2 other American soldiers were injured in this blast, according to the U.S. Embassy. Now, remember, the U.S. does not have military personnel here in Pakistan engaged in combat, but they do have personnel here training Pakistani security forces, and the U.S. Embassy here in Pakistan describing these 5 Americans, 3 who were killed, as American military trainers. 4 others killed in this blast, 1 Pakistani soldier, and 3 schoolgirls. And that's the other tragedy when it comes to this attack. This attack taking place right next to a girls' school, this convoy on its way to a school that's being inaugurated. Very rare for U.S. soldiers to be killed by militants here. The last time it happened, 2008, in the U.S. truck bombing, the suicide truck bombing in Islamabad at Marriott, John.
All right, Reza Sayah for us this morning from Islamabad. Reza, thanks. Let's bring in Barbara Starr now. And Barbara, this raises a number of questions, such as were the Americans riding in an identifiable vehicle? Was it a lucky shot? Was it an inside job, potentially? And how would it affect U.S. military strategy in Pakistan?
All the questions, John, that the Pentagon wants to know the answers to, specifically whether these American troops were targeted. Admiral Mike Mullen, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, was informed by the command center here in the Pentagon in the pre-dawn hours. We are told he will be getting updates throughout the day. This is now a matter of top concern to try and figure out what happened. The forces that were killed, we now know, were U.S. Special Forces. They travel very discreetly. They tend not to wear formal U.S. military uniforms. They have beards. They wear sunglasses. They usually wear caps. Anything they can do to try and blend in and not be readily identified as Americans. As Reza said, officially U.S. troops are in Pakistan, about 70 of them, to train the Pakistani forces to go after the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. But this attack now raises questions to which there are no ready answers. Are the Taliban now specifically targeting those U.S. military troops, John?
All right. Barbara Starforce at the Pentagon this morning. Barbara, thanks so much.
Also developing now the threat of an attack against America by al-Qaeda. According to the top intelligence agencies in America, the terrorist group is certain to try to strike in the next 6 months. The heads of the FBI and the CIA, along with officials from the Defense and State Departments, all sounding a common theme when they appeared before a Senate committee on Capitol Hill yesterday. Let's listen.
What is the likelihood of another terrorist attempted attack on the U.S. homeland in the next 3 to 6 months? High or low? Director Blair?
An attempted attack, the priority is certain, I would say.
Mr. Panetta?
I would agree with that.
Mr. Mueller?
Agree.
General Burgess?
Yes, ma'am. Agree.
Mr. Dinger?
Yes.
Homeland Security correspondent Gene Meserve joins us live now from Washington. Boy, when you hear that consensus, it's a scary thing. But is there right now a specific credible threat from al-Qaeda that we know about?
Well, Karen, we've been told repeatedly since Christmas Day that concerns have intensified, that there is credible information that al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is planning additional attacks, that the group is probing, that it's innovating, trying to find new ways to strike. In recent weeks, sources have even said the government has identified viable operatives, but intelligence officials have also said that other specifics are lacking. Though obviously, Karen, there's been particular concern about aviation, where we've seen security ramped up significantly since that attempted Christmas Day attack.
Talking about Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib, he's now talking. So what is he saying, and really what got him to open up?
Well, they used his family. We're told by senior administration officials that FBI agents went to Nigeria, the suspect's home country, a few days after the attempted bombing. They made contact with members of his family and persuaded 2 of them to come to the United States and talk with Abdul Muttalib about cooperating. They did. And last week he started talking. We're told he still is talking and providing useful and current intelligence about his training and other people he worked with. All that information being passed on to the intelligence agencies who are running it all to ground. Kieran?
And, Gene, do you think there's a connection between the information that investigators are getting out of Muttalib and also the terror warning that we heard coming from our top intelligence agencies?
Karen, we have asked that question and we have not gotten an answer, but this much is clear. After the events of Christmas Day, investigators went back and combed through every scrap of intelligence. They gathered new intelligence. They've improved systems for vetting and connecting intelligence. They found things that heightened their already considerable concern. And it has, of course, Karen, been very high because of the number of plots that have been detected and disrupted or that have been executed. Karen?
Gene Meserve for us this morning in Washington. Thank you.
Just turning 7 minutes after the hour now. Rob Marciano's got a quick look at the weather forecast. He's at the Weather Center in Atlanta. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, guys. A little dusting of snow across the Big Apple this morning. That snow is now exiting to the east. Heavier amounts being tallied up down across D.C. and Baltimore, 4 or 5 inches in some cases. But you see it's moving quickly over towards Cape Cod. And there's a little bit of snow behind this, but not a tremendous amount of cold there. Notice in Rochester, temps still in the lower to mid-20s. So we'll peak above freezing for a short time this afternoon and then dip below freezing tonight. So there will be some slick spots both this morning and then later on tonight. Next storm developing in Texas. Some heavier rain expected from Brownsville to San Antonio, moving east to Houston. And that will be rolling towards the northeast for our next winter storm, scheduled to arrive in the mid-Atlantic and then the northeast Friday and Saturday. We'll talk more about this storm. It looks to be much stronger than the one that came through last night. We'll chat more about that in about 30 minutes. John and Kieran, back up to you.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Still ahead, we're going to be talking about what happened